Well, after the generating companies, meron po tayong Transco. Marami reklamo sa Transco, Senador. Open ba kayo sa idea na katulad ng tubig, may west sector operator, may east sector operator, chachap-chap natin ang Transco?
I don't think so. May economies of scale yan eh. Ang business model ng high tension na delivery na ginagamit ng Transco is the same as a tollway. You maintain the tollway, you collect toll, and that's how you pay for what you build. That's the same thing that Transco should be doing. Yun lamang siguro na hindi sapat. Sa amin lang, marami kaming pangangailangan dyan sa Transco. We were hoping to build a high-tension cable from Ilocos Norte to directly export the power we are producing via windmills directly to Manila, because that's where the demand is. And it's more profitable for us. But hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nangyayari. And I'm not sure. I'm not privy to the board meetings and the discussions going on in Transco. So I do not know quite why wala pa yan. But yes, it should be. It really should be a simple operation na madali lang naman patakbuhin dapat yan. Kaya pag-aralan natin kung bakit nagkakaganon. You mentioned EPIRA. We have to look back at EPIRA. I think EPIRA might already have at least certain provisions in EPIRA are already obsolete. As a matter of fact.
Senator?
Yes.
I hope you don't mind. I'd like to switch topics a little bit because we have a short period to ask so many issues.
All right.
I'd like to ask about agriculture because you mentioned that in the last time you were here. One of the biggest problems that the sector is facing is the aging of farmers.
Yes.
One study I've read said that their average age is between 57 and 59. And the worst thing is their children don't want to go into agriculture. And this observation is supported by declining enrollment in agricultural programs of SUCs across the nation. And last, the Secretary of Agriculture last year said that we may be facing a critical shortage of farmers in as little as 12 years. And he said this last year. So maybe you'd like to share with us what your plans are regarding this issue.
Regarding the age of farmers getting older, not only are they discouraged to come in, their parents who are farmers, they say, wag na kayong pumasok dito, napakahirap ng buhay dito. Mag-aral kayo, pumunta kayo sa Manila, pumunta kayo sa city, dyan kayo magpagaling para hindi nyo na kailangan daanan itong dinadaanan namin. That's the state of the agriculture in the Philippines today. As a general rule, as a general concept, I think we have to really shift already from what is essentially still mom and pop operation and talk about agribusiness and talk about the industry of agriculture. And there are many things that we need to do to achieve that, to get to that point. See, let's go back to the issue of the age of our farmers and the young people who are not going into agriculture. If it is an agribusiness, if it is not the traditional farming method that we are always going through, that we have been doing for the last millennia, but move into something that is more high-tech, then that will necessarily need for the entry into more technically minded agribusiness practitioners. And that will bring the age younger immediately. I know already for myself, young people in their 30s who have discovered some new technology or have come across a new thing. Bagay sa atin to, gawin natin. And they do, and they have brought all kinds of new techniques to farming, but it's not yet extensive because there are no encouragements coming from government in terms of tax breaks, in terms of I don't really believe in subsidies in that regard, but I still think that we can improve the attractiveness of the agricultural sector to younger people if we use the most modern, most interesting technology. And the kids say they can geek it out, right? They'll just pag-aralan nila na mabuti. That's a very interesting. It will become a very interesting line of work.
Is there an important role for government to play? Because if you look at the public spending on agriculture in the Philippines, it's only about 1.7% of the national budget, far below what is being spent in other ASEAN countries.
Yes. It's been that, and it has been that way for a long time. I think we have really neglected agriculture because we had a system set up where the entire value chain was attended to by government. And of course, the private sector practitioners come into the picture during the trading and in the market. But that was dismantled in 1986 and has not been a replacement for it. So we have to do it again. And if we look at the countries that we are competing with in terms of rice production, for example, they're Thailand and Vietnam, the obvious ones. Their cost of production is lower. The labor segment of their production cost is 1/2 of ours. And that's due to mechanization. We have not mechanized at all. It's going to take, it's not a simple thing because we have to organize now to be able to mechanize properly, to use the big machines, the big tractors, the big harvesters. Yung nakikita natin sa ibang bansa na ginagamit, nakalaki-laki, na ang bilis-bilis, siguro sa isang araw, ilang hektarya na nakocover nila. Pero ang average na land holding dito sa Pilipinas is less than 1 hectare. So hindi mo magamit yung mga ganung klaseng makina. So the way to do it, or the way we did it in Ilocos, was we organized the cooperatives. And in that way, we were able to take full advantage of economies of scale. And I think that's what we need to do here in the Philippines now. But there are other things that need to be done as well. I think the fact that we are importing galunggong has been made very, very public. It's been very, very clear that it is quite a surprise for us to get into that situation. But again, it really comes from a neglect in the agricultural sector. So the things we have to do the research and development for the new varieties, for the new yung nag-aalaga ng hayop, paano yung gagawin yung pagkalat ng mga inahin. Again, these are different schemes that we have to put together. In our fisheries, there is a very, very good potential for us kung ayusin lang natin ang ating kinukuhanan ng isda. Number one, bigyan natin yung mga mangingisda na mas malaking bangka. Maliliit lang yung bangka nila eh. And they have to go out already 12 kilometers kasi overfish na dito sa loob. And then of course, patrol so that maraming nagpo-poach sa atin. So we have to have all the best techniques and technologies for our farmers and for our fishermen. Fisher folk. So that's just the beginning of it. And then the support. Now, one of the biggest problems that the agricultural industry is facing right now in terms of crops is urea is 2,500 pesos now. And we know of many areas where farmers just didn't plant. And that kills our production. Taas na naman ang importation natin. Because importation, minsan, kung kulang talaga. Kung pabayaan mo yan, tataas naman ang presyo, hindi na kaya ng tao. Kaya talagang kailangan ayusin yung agrikultura. So you have to support, the government has to support that. This question of urea, for example, siguro ang gobyerno lang bibili in bulk, hundreds of tons of urea, and then isama na yan sa production loan. Bago planting season, magbibigay ka ng production loan sa farmer, yung iba pera, yung iba seedlings, yung iba abono, the fertilizer, at saka yung pesticide. And then you could support them with new techniques, the techno demos, to teach them what are the new plants, what are the new techniques, how you can save water, how you can save on the other inputs, etc., etc. And then the processing. You know, it is not, should not really be allowed anymore. Dapat in the year 2022, dapat wala na tayong nakikitang palay na tinutuyo sa highway. Dahil dapat meron na tayong binigay. Yan, si Rolex knows this well from, because sa local talagang yun ang problema eh. So, tapos yung mga milling, dapat talaga meron tayong milling na small scale, large scale, depending on what everyone. So the value stays with the farmer. Hindi pumupunta sa trader na may malaking milling na planta. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the traders. They have a part to play. But let's keep as much of the value added and give it back to the farmer. And then, if we are able to do that, gumanda ang ating production, bumura ang ating production cost, we can directly sell it. And the kadiwa is the example that we always use. We can sell it to the public at a lower price, assuming the government will not make a profit, because the government should not make a profit. So they should be able to sell these basic agricultural products for less.
Mr. Marcos,
Yes,
we all know that your campaign's theme is unity. And recently you made a statement on an issue that, you know, would test your call for unity, because this issue is really polarizing in our country. And I'm referring to your statement on LGBTQ rights. And so my question is, you know, there are a lot of interests that had to be balanced here, especially that even though that we are a secular country, our people, you know, around 80% of our people have really, really strong religious beliefs, and these two things, you know, are always contrary to each other. So my question is, how will you balance the legitimate aim of protecting the rights and welfare of LGBTQ people while at the same time respecting the legitimate interests of religious groups that they can freely pursue their belief on this matter?
I don't think LGBTQ issues are polarizing in the Philippines, honestly. I think we are much more open-minded about it, considering the fact that we are in fact a very Roman Catholic country. But then you must, and so that I don't think it's polarizing at all. I think Filipinos are, I don't know how to put it, but we're much cooler than most other places when it comes to these things. And I think when I talk to the members of that community, wala namang hinihingi na special treatment ng mga LGBTQ. Wag lang do not discriminate against us. Yun lang naman yun eh. We don't want a special program for you, for ourselves. We want to, you know, do something. Just patas lang. Patas lang, pare-pareho lang. Na kahit LGBTQ kami, kahit matanda kami, kahit come from the wrong place, I don't know, whatever. All forms of discrimination are some things that we have to guard against, because that's corrosive. That just gets in the way. It doesn't help. It doesn't help anything. So that, I think, is the approach to LGBTQ issues: is just fight discrimination every step of the way. There's a pool of talent in every sector of our society that we need to take advantage of, and so we cannot exclude any part and say hindi pwede yan, hindi na ayaw namin sa ganyan. And let me get to the point. I mean, LGBTQ, Roman Catholic, you say that it's wrong. What did the Pope say when he was asked about same-sex marriage, same-sex union? Let me correct myself. Same-sex union. And I think the Pope said it perfectly. Who am I to judge? And that's the attitude that all of us should have. And with that, I think we'll go down the correct place. We will go down the right path.
Yeah, I think this will be...
Professor Carlos, I know that you warned me about senior citizen losing their train of thought, but I have been instructed to go on a commercial break. So
we have
we'll
to go on
start
break?
off. Yes, we'll start the next round with your question.
Okay.
I promise that. Yeah. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, everyone. We have more questions coming from our panel. So don't go away. The Deep Probe SMNI presidential candidates interview will be right back.
Nagsisimula pa lang ang ating laban. Ako si Inday AJ ng Disaster Assistance and Rescue Team. Sasagitin ka sa anumang panganib.
Inday Masoy, simpleng negosyante, kakampi mo sa hamon ng buhay.
Ako po si Inday Darwin, isang public school teacher, asa inay naisip tungo sa magandang buhay.
Ako si Inday Sara, hawak kamay tayo sa tagumpay. Inday will always love you.
Sa mga kapwa taxpayer, namumroblema ba kayo sa inyong tax compliance? Problem no more. Mag-e-tax point ka na. Ang e-tax point ay isang accounting software na magbibigay sa iyo ng tamang libro at sa isang pindot may VAT relief, alpali sa pays, naka-DAT file format na ready for sending to BIR. Sa e-tax point, magiging huwarang taxpayer ka. Tamang buwis lamang ang babayaran. At kapag may audit si BIR, may tamang libro na ipapakita. So ano pang hinihintay mo? Mag-e-tax point ka na. Visit our website at www.etaxpoint.com.ph or you may call us at 02-8470-2813, 02-8986-4061, and 02-8986-3803.
Tulong natin panatiling ligtas ang mga Pilipino.
Ay ipaglalaban namin inyong karapatan sa Kongreso.
Frontliners, kayo ang bida.
Pagpatuloy ang magagandang layunin at programang inilatag mo sa ating bansa
na inumpisahan ng ating mahal na Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Na may tapang at may malasakit.
ang core values ng public service.
Ako rin pong dating pinuno ng Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, ang opisinang itinatag ng Pangulong Duterte para pangunahan ng kanyang kampanya laban sa korupsyon.
Poproteksyonan at magiging boses ng mga kababaihan, ng kabataan at ng mga lumad ng bansang Pilipinas.
Ito ang partido subok na maaasahan. Tandaan, makakalakas ang bayang Pilipinas.
Alam mo, totoo lang, sayang na sayang pag nakalimutan ninyo si Rodante Marcoleta. Di prinsipyo, matino, at lahat ng trabaho niya has always been with integrity and the performance at the best. Just remember Marcoleta.
This portion is brought to you by Vice Presidential Candidate Mayor Inday Sara Duterte, eTax Point, the Philippines' first tax-based accounting software, Frontliners, ikaw ang bida party list, and PDP Laban Senatorial Slate, mapapalakas bayang Pilipinas. This portion is brought to you by Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta, Secretary Gringo Honasan, Agimat Party List, and Skin Magical.
SMNI presidential candidates interview. And again, 1 hour went by so quickly. So we're down to the last question for our last candidate for the evening. To start off with our last question, Professor Carlos.
Okay, there is I know, Mr. Marcos, that
Professor Carlos, I know you're gonna love me for this. You're wearing your sunglasses again.
sorry again. Ay, mag-forgive na kayo, ha? You will all be 75 also. Unless you die young. Hello. Humilit pa yan. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a sense that this will be the last time I shall interact with you in a venue like this. So, let me introduce something which I have tested in my class on elites in politics. And this involves moving into an area called predicting leadership decision-making. So I hope you don't mind if I give you 3 short questions, but they are related to each other. And it will give our people a chance to know you in terms of your leadership style. The first question is, do you think that you're basically an optimist rather than a pessimist? Number 2, do you think you are basically a high-risk taker rather than a low-risk taker? You'll notice the 2 are related. And the third question is, do you think you are Machiavellian?
Well, the first question is if I'm an optimist or a pessimist. I'm essentially an optimist. And the reason I'm essentially an optimist, because especially when we talk about the country, we are optimists. I am optimistic because our biggest asset is the Filipino people, and I try to be very objective about it, ma'am. I have traveled all over the world. I have not met a better people than Filipinos in every possible way. Am I a risk taker or not? When it comes to national issues, I tend towards a conservative only because a mistake will cost so much suffering to so many people. In other words, you have to be very careful with the decisions you make. And it's not something that you do offhand. You think about it very hard. You talk to as many people as you can. And you make absolutely certain that you have done everything that you can possibly do to make whatever your plan is, to make it work. Am I Machiavellian? Well, I've studied him quite thoroughly. And I know very many Machiavellians in my life. But
Is it Machiavelli in terms of taking every means to produce an end? Not the other Machiavellian, the bad Machiavellian.
Well, certainly, we have to be aware of everything that is going to help whatever it is that you are hoping to achieve. And on a national scale, that means you have to understand very well what the situation is on the ground. Ganito kasi ang sitwasyon ng mga tao, ito na ngayon sila. Nasa gitna pa ng pandemya, walang trabaho yung mga yan. Umaasa pa rin yan sa tupad, sa IX, etc. O paano tayo lalabas niyan? Where will what are the other countries doing? Kailangan maging maingat so I suppose in the same sense as you say that these questions were related, it's a way of being careful and being very, very knowledgeable about what are the things that have to come into play so that you will achieve success, whatever that success, however you define that success. So in that sense, yes, ma'am, I am a Machiavellian.
Yeah, thank you. In future, if you have time, please come to the university and I will discuss with you. It's called the Operational Code Construct. Thank you very much.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
So sorry, I know we were getting requests for extension, but we want to be strict about keeping it to 1 hour for all of the presidential candidates. So, Senator Marcos, you have the floor for your closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I thank again our panelists and SMNI for this opportunity to speak on the many issues that have yet to be explored. The format as well, I think, is quite constructive. So thank you to SMNI for that. Thank you to our panelists here. I hope to continue to lay out what programs that form a part of the platform, the planks of the platform, for the possibility for the next administration, for the possibilities for the next administration. And that's why such opportunities such as this are very, very important. And I hope that we have been able to impart some of the ideas that I am examining and trying to put together to bring to the next administration should I be elected to the presidency. So we hope that we continue with this discussion. I hope that people come and think about it. And if they have any ideas, please come and tell us because we need to hear from everyone. We need everyone. That is the cry of the unity team, is that we cannot say that anyone is not needed. Everyone is needed in this effort that we are trying to do to get through the pandemic, to recover our economy from the problems that the pandemic has brought, and to position the Philippines to face the new world order and what will happen in the next few years. So thank you all very much, and thank you for the opportunity. Magandang gabi po sa inyo.
Salamat po, Senator Bongbong Marcos, and maraming salamat to all our panelists. Sa pamamagitan ng SM